iHeartRadio is taking you backstage with Kane Brown in Quebec City.
Y'all get ready. Girl, let's go put some miles on.
Meet him, interview him, an iHeartRadio experience you'll never forget.
Turn up the night like that radio.
With flights, hotel, and $500 included.
Be like that. How we feeling tonight?
For your best chance to win, enter daily at iHeartRadio.ca.
Thank y'all so much. Yeah.
Kane Brown's new album, The High Road, is available now.
This week in gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello and happy Mario Day, everyone. I'm Naomi Kyle, and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week, we're catching up on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 reveal, Split Fiction taking the world by storm, a new Death Stranding 2 trailer, Microsoft's AI-powered game testing, and Mario Day deals you won't want to miss. We've got all of this week's gaming news. Let's get to it. As I had mentioned back in episode 55, or season 2, episode 5, there were rumors circulating that Tony Hawk would be coming back in a big way. Well, it turns out that the rumors were true. On March 4th, Activision revealed a trailer for their next Tony Hawk title, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. As the title suggests, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 will remaster both of these classic skateboarding titles that had released over 2 decades ago. While the game's developer, Iron Galaxy, will be giving Tony Hawk 3 and 4 a fresh coat of paint, they also have plans to add features that the contemporary gamer would expect from a modern-day Tony Hawk. The Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remakes will support cross-platform online multiplayer for up to 8 players, and it will feature a Create a Park mode, where players from around the world can create and share one-of-a-kind skate parks. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will launch on all platforms on July 11th of this year, and it will be available day one on Xbox Game Pass. Last week, Hazelight Studios' latest title, Split Fiction, released to critical acclaim. It has earned perfect scores from gaming news outlets like Eurogamer, Variety, and Inverse. But in the modern era of gaming, the score that matters the most is the Metacritic score, of which Split Fiction has earned universal acclaim with a score of 91 out of 100 and a general favorable user score of 8.5 out of 10. This landmark achievement marks Split Fiction as the first EA-published title to earn a higher than 90 Metacritic score in over a decade. The last EA-published title that earned such a score was none other than Mass Effect 3, which released 13 years ago in 2012, and totaled a Metacritic score of 93. Like all Hazelight's titles, Split Fiction is a co-op-only experience. A couch co-op video game, meaning you can play in person with your friends. But what if you want to play Split Fiction, but you don't have a buddy? No problem. Split Fiction hosts a Discord server where players can link up and play together using Split Fiction's Friends Pass system. The Friends Pass allows gamers from across platforms to play with other players so long as just one of the 2 persons playing owns a copy of the game. I am a huge fan of Hazelight's games. This studio always puts fun gameplay and accessibility first, and I can't wait to play Split Fiction with my friends later this week. A new trailer released for Death Stranding 2. That's right, the sequel is officially titled Death Stranding on the Beach, and the 10-minute trailer was revealed by Hideo Kojima himself when he took the stage at South by Southwest 2025 in Austin, Texas. The trailer contains cinematics, gameplay footage, and most importantly, a release date for June 26, 2025. But of course, there is a deluxe edition players can buy to play the game 2 days early, so I guess the real release date for Death Stranding 2 is June 24th. There is one clip from the trailer that has the whole internet in a tizzy. The clip is of Italian actor Luca Marinelli, tying a bandana around his head, giving the actor a striking resemblance to Kojima's most iconic video game character, Solid Snake, from the Metal Gear franchise. This could be a nod from Kojima expressing his continued interest in Metal Gear, even though Konami owns the rights to the IP. Or it could simply be Kojima playing out a fantasy he mentioned on Instagram back in 2020, saying, "Luca Marinelli recently caught my eye after watching The Old Guard and Martin Eden. I think that he will break out soon and his popularity will increase. Also, I think if he donned a bandana, he'd be a spitting image of Solid Snake. Kojima Productions is still working with A24 to film a feature-length Death Stranding movie, alongside other projects like the video game movie Hybrid, Vicent for Sony, and the horror thriller video game OD for Xbox Studios. Video game developers and publishers have been toying with ideas for how to best use AI in video games for a while now. EA is using AI to automatically generate NPC responses, Google is using AI to generate whole games with a prompt, and now Microsoft wants to use AI to mimic how human players react to game scenarios and environments. Microsoft has dubbed their new AI model WHAM, which stands for World of Human Action Model. The point of WHAM isn't to improve interaction from in-game NPCs, but rather to use WHAM as a development tool for beta testing. The idea here is that if WHAM can simulate the randomness of a player character, then the beta testing cycle, which normally takes countless hours and dozens of volunteers to complete, can be automated and conducted in just a handful of hours. Microsoft wants to integrate WHAM into other aspects of game development, like modding and preservation, by using AI to port classic games to modern hardware. Fatima Kardar, Vice President of Gaming AI at Xbox, had this to say: "Today, countless classic games tied to aging hardware are no longer playable by most people. Thanks to this breakthrough, we are exploring the potential to take older back catalog games from our studios and optimize them for any device. We believe this could radically change how we preserve and experience classic games in the future and make them accessible for more players. To imagine that beloved games lost to time and hardware advancement could one day be played on any screen with Xbox is an exciting possibility for us." No doubt, AI in game development is an intimidating prospect. There are already far too many people who have been laid off in this year alone, and I'd hate for more people to lose their jobs to AI just because it is more efficient. But I have high hope that there is a middle ground where people and AI can coexist, and AI can be used as a tool to make the process of game development easier for overworked game developers. Stay tuned for my interview later on today with someone who's got a new game in development that uses AI in a very unique and insightful way. March 10th means it's Mario Day again, and to celebrate, Nintendo's offering fans deals on their first-party games, as well as holding events to celebrate Mario. First-party Nintendo titles will be on sale for just $55, including Super Mario Wonder, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario RPG, Luigi's Mansion 3, and many more. This Mario Day sale ends on March 16th, so you need to act fast. The Nintendo Alarmo, which was only available for purchase by Nintendo Online subscribers on the Nintendo's online store, is now available for purchase at Best Buy, GameStop, and Walmart. But my favorite deal from this year's Mario Day is for the Mario plus Rabbids games. Both titles are 75% off and packed to the gills with content. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle Gold Edition and Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope are just $20 each. And with that, it's now time to go over the video games releasing this week.
Games out this week.
On March 11th, the PS5 exclusive Rise of the Ronin gets ported over to PC. Wanderstop steeps on PS5 and PC. And on March 12th, Expelled incriminates Nintendo Switch and mobile. Fate Reawakened gets remastered for all platforms. Then on March 13th, Dungeons of Hindenburg gets ported from Xbox to PS5 and PS4. Midnight Murder Club creeps onto the PS5 and PC. And on March 14th, MLB The Show 25 goes into early access on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. WWE 2K25 suplexes PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. And then the Epic Games Store is offering just one free game this week, Mortal Shell, which will be available for download from March 13th until the 20th.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to join our guest. Kelsey Falter joins us to share her take on AI in gaming and how her studio's new game, Lazoo, uses AI to help players grow and connect on a deeper level.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hi, Kelsey. It's so good to have you on the show. Welcome to This Week in Gaming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about your company. You're the CEO of Mother Games, and you have a really cool project that you've launched. I want to know all about it. I want to know what people can expect when they play the game. But first, tell me what inspired you to get into games in the first place, and about your business and what inspired you to get into it.
People might not know this about games, but games are super effective ways to create new experiences in our minds, in our brains. And we actually are training ourselves when we play games, because there is this loop of, playing and taking action and getting reward or leveling up. And it creates this really tight feedback loop in the mind. So one of the things that inspired us around starting a gaming company was really about understanding, how does a game enable us to transform the way that we experience reality? And so that is kind of the core mission of Mother Games. Mother's vision is to create transformative experiences through play. And the way that we think about transformative experiences is like, okay, if you have a different perspective on life, for example, after playing our game, then we have achieved the outcome we're trying to kind of bring to the world. So that's how we got started. And then our first title, Lizoo, is an open world multiplayer game that has both mini games that kind of like, let's say like a library of mini games like Roblox, but an open world experience that allows you to build in the open world like a Minecraft. And it has that robust like multiplayer experience where you can play with your friends, or you can also play with what we call AICs, which are AI characters that you can create and define yourself and bring them into the Lizoo reality as a way to understand yourself and also how you interact with others and the world of Lizoo, which is a psychedelic theme park that just throws you into cool and trippy experiences.
Tell me about the AI angle and what the just initial story is, so people can know a bit more about the world.
So when you first get into Lizoo, you're dropped into a place that we call the liminal runway, which is like, what is going on, right? And in our trailer, you can see the actress kind of going from live action physical human form into zoot form. And zoots are what we call the characters inside of Lizoo. And so when you jump into Lizoo, you're walking down this liminal runway and the body of your character, your zoot, is changing. And it's a way of kind of saying like, hey, what if identity was fluid? And what if you could be anybody? And then your zoot jumps through a portal and you end up in the zoot factory. And the zoot factory pumps out both human-driven characters and also AI or NPC-driven characters. And that's kind of part of that very first question, right? Which is, what is real and what is not real? What is human? What is not human? What is AI? What is not AI? That is that meeting ground, the zoot factory, where you don't know who's who. And some of those characters that you're meeting might be, your own friends in real life. And some of them might be, for example, mission-giving NPCs who start you on your journey. And then as soon as you enter into the mission progression cycle, the mission progression kind of takes you from this idea of the gathering. And the gathering is about kind of collecting all of these mental impressions of like, oh, that's possible? Well, if that's possible, what if this is possible? And you're kind of gearing up for the actual process itself. And so the next phase of it is the process. And the process is actually going around and doing the various activities that would allow you to later on unlock your class and your skills. So you don't choose a class inside of Lizoo from a typical RPG perspective. Instead, Lizoo is personalized to you and you get assigned, kind of like in Harry Potter when you have like the sorting hat, you get assigned a house, which is your archetype, and you get assigned a class based off of what you unlock through your actions in the game.
So that's really in depth, and that's such a unique way of putting that mechanic in the game. Like instead of picking it, the game kind of chooses it based on something you do, not even realizing what you're doing.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. And I think like in the real world or in Earth, that's kind of how it also works, right? It's like we do things and then we get results of those actions that we take. And we might not make the connection between, hey, the reason I experienced this is because I did that thing, 2 months ago, for example. And so Lazoo basically takes player actions that they do in the game, and it feeds it to our personalization, our emergent system that basically says like, oh, this person is trending towards, for example, like deep friendships. And so they would be the part of the house of wisdom, which is our blue house. And it's all about connections and friendships. And you could think about that as someone who's like a ride or die, loyal type of person. Yeah. So you start to really quickly understand what's my vibe. And you can choose to change your vibe, right, as a result of the information that you receive inside of Lazoo. And that's up to you, to react to that reflection and decide, do I want to keep being this type of character in the world, or do I want to change things up because I see myself differently?
So I'm very curious too, because when I found out about what you were doing, I was very interested in the game experiences that you talk about, how it's supposed to boost serotonin. Can you talk a bit more about that? Like, how does that play into a player's experience? How does that help their wellness or their mental health in that way?
Serotonin gets released when there are certain like neurotransmissions in the brain. And it basically is it's a love hormone. So it's like, as you start loving yourself and as you start kind of seeing yourself and not really judging yourself, it actually allows you to open up this kind of love hormone of, oh, like that's actually not something to be ashamed of, or I actually don't need something more in order to feel good. And so one of the ways that we do that's like super specific and interesting is there's a bunch of collectibles inside of the Lazoo world. And the first couple of drops of collectibles that we released into the world are designed off of like, let's say like common negative emotions. So you might feel like, okay, there's like this worrier or something like that, but it's such a cute worrier, and you wouldn't normally be like, oh, I'm going to collect that worry wart, but it's so cute. And also you can use that worrying collectible as part of a PvP experience in the game. So there's utility associated with these collectibles, even though they are representative, for example, of a negative emotion. So you start to have that, like, oh, I like him actually. It's not bad to feel anxiety. It's just another emotion that happens.
Oh, wow. I mean, I love that. I think that's so cool. It makes me want to play it. So I want to talk briefly on the overarching idea. It's here. It's part of the world.
Yes.
How are you seeing AI being implemented in a way that you think is, the correct way? And how do we beat, I guess, the quote unquote stigma that we hear a lot about?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times, the AI stigma comes from the fact that maybe AI was trained on content that was produced by an artist or a creator. And now, AI is replicating some of that human effort. And I think that this opens up a larger dialogue around how do we have ownership over what we create while we're on planet Earth as a consumer. Right now, the monoliths like Facebook and OpenAI and Google, etc., they actually have these massive data stores of consumer data. And they're also scraping, the internet for this training information. And I think that where we're going to see a shift in the future is allowing consumers or people, regular people who create things every single day, whether it's a selfie on their camera roll or whether it's a post on Instagram or whether it's an article that's published on, a publisher website because they're a writer, that they are going to become the owner of that data. in the future, and that AI systems will learn from that data, but only at the discretion of the human. And so we're not there yet, right? I think that if you look at the music industry, when music industry moved from sort of like record labels and distribution into streaming, there was all of this question around who owns the rights and how do artists get paid. And I think that similarly, as we think about like what's the quote right way for AI, that we don't know the answer yet, but what we do know is that the thing that's causing a lot of, I would say, backlash from creators is the idea that there's not, there's not any payment or remuneration for the fact that models are using that content as training content. So on our side, what I can say is that Mother is working on encryption so that we can actually store the user's data for them, for the user.
Oh, nice. Okay,
so that
cool.
You own the data. And if you wanted to, for example, hook up your data to an NPC, right? An AI NPC, and you wanted that AI NPC to be representative of you, for example, that would be a type of experience that we would want to enable because we believe that you should be the owner of your data, not anyone else, not a big monolithic company.
Well, thanks for sharing your perspective on that too, because I think it's a big question out there these days. And quickly, where can people play your game? When can they play it? How do they get their hands on it?
So if you go to Lezoo, LEZOO.mothergames.com, you will get to our game website. And there I would encourage you to take the house quiz. It's basically like a personality quiz, and you can see for yourself how you got sorted. So our next playtest is opening in just a couple of weeks for Android and iOS. And It will be our biggest playtest yet. And then after that, we will continue to do larger and larger playtests until the game itself is launched in 2025 in the App Store as an open experience. If you take the house quiz, join our Discord because there's so many people there who are just super active, and you can talk with other people who are the same archetype or the same personality as you.
All right. Well, I'll be sure to check that out and
I know.
Get your game when it comes out. I'm very excited to check it out for myself. And thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Kelsey Falter is co-founder and CEO of Mother Games. You can follow her on Instagram at the handle Being Perceived.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming, folks. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had such an amazing time bringing you the latest in games. Shout out to my co-writer, Josh Seaman, and don't forget to let me know what you're playing by tagging me on social at Naomi Kyle. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you such an awesome week filled with fun games to play, especially on Mario 10 Day Week. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.
iHeartRadio is taking you backstage with Kane Brown in Quebec City.
Y'all get ready. Girl, let's go put some miles on.
Meet him, interview him, an iHeartRadio experience you'll never forget.
Turn up the night like that radio.
With flights, hotel, and $500 included.
Be like that. How we feeling tonight?
For your best chance to win, enter daily at iHeartRadio.ca.
Thank y'all so much. Yeah.
Kane Brown's new album, The High Road, is available now.